Hi guys, Mike back again. Welcome to part 2 of Build a Forge World Proteus Land Raider. Welcome to my tub of now cold soapy water. I spent a very enjoyable evening actually, going through the components, clipping them off the gates and the sprues, cleaning everything up, and then dumping it into this tub of what was hot soapy water at the time, with some washing up liquid in it, and left it overnight. Basically, it's sort of coming up to, what is it now, 20 odd hours I suppose it's been soaking in this tub, and now I'm going to wash it. My tools of the trade to wash off the release agent from this resin are an old toothbrush and one of these kind of brushes. It's got a bit more of a stiffer bristle, but and it's got a little nubbly bit so you can get into all the little nooks and crannies. I've also got a nail brush, a scrubbing nail brush, you know, for like the bigger sections, bigger components. So what I'm going to do effectively is refill this back up with kind of hot water. It's like doing the dishes really, and it's better to wash stuff, I find at least anyway, in hot soapy water than it is in cold water. This is cold now, and I find you get a better result if you soak it in hot water, let the water go cold, and then put it back in hot water and then give it a good scrub, and don't tend to have too many issues. Again, your mileage may vary, and certainly I've had instances of Forge World resin having a particularly large amount of release agent, it would seem, and even after soaking it and scrubbing it and the hot water treatment, you know, the warm soapy water treatment, there's still release agent on it, and when you come to paint it or prime it, you'll see the paint disperse because it's kind of hitting a greasy surface and the paint just won't stick. But you'll know soon enough when that happens. If you're unlucky enough for that to happen, you can just basically dump it back in hot soapy water and give it a good scrub. The paint that isn't sticking will come straight off, and so you'll get some instances actually where paint will have stuck to areas where the release agent has been removed, and that paint won't come off. That paint is pretty well stuck on. So we're just going to go through the motions now of scrubbing all this up and getting it clean, ready for building. So I'm going to do that, and I'll catch you in a sec. Alright guys, we've cleaned the Proteus Land Raider. It's had a good wash, had a good scrub with a toothbrush and some nail brushes and things like that, and it's just sitting out to dry now, so the building can commence shortly. As I was taking the gates off and taking it off sprues and things like that, I was just messing about with the tracks, because historically, as I understand, the separate tracks, and certainly, as I said before, my experience with the Spartan having separate tracks was a bit of a nightmare. But actually, I'm very pleased to say that the tracks for this seem to fit very nicely. I had a bit of a play. Obviously, we've got exactly the same track sections multiplied by 2, and I've marked some off with permanent marker in an innocuous place. Not that you're going to be able to see it because I'm going to paint the thing anyway, so I could have marked it on the other side. Excuse me. So these tracks all go together, and I've also marked this side again, which is hidden from view, but I'm going to paint it anyway. Those tracks fit very nicely on this track section, and these tracks fit very nicely on this one. They're almost identical, almost. And certainly some of the videos I've seen of Proteus Land Raiders, some of the track sections, are too long by a whole section of track that needs to be removed. That certainly doesn't seem to be the case, and again, I've only dry fitted it. It might need a small amount of heat just to bend the tracks kind of around the more extreme angles. But other than that, it's looking like it's going to be a really nice fit. So we shall see. The instructions, so I say instructions advise you to, well, let's have a look. I think they advise you to fit the tracks first, I think. So fit the tracks first and then build the actual shell of the interior. And while we have got some flooring of the interior, just this kind of grid bit, the interior is not visible, not viewable at all, unless you decided to magnetize the doors or have the doors removable, and you would be able to see through into sort of this section. I'm not doing that. It's going to be a closed unit. There isn't any front ramp. It's just the side doors that are accessible. So then it advises you to build this shell and then put the tracks sort of, you know, fitted around it. So I'll do some sort of version of that. I don't know if I'll glue all this together. I might glue it onto one of the track halves, and whether I put the tracks on first or last or whatever, we'll see how it goes. But I mean, it's a very straightforward build. 4 sections of the upper hull, lower hull, back and front, and the tracks, and then basically the smokestack. What else? And that's about it, really. The sponsons, which go together nicely, they're only made up of sort of 2 or 3 pieces, and some sponson clamps, the front ram, and that's it. So 47 component pieces this is made up of, which includes the Aquila, which I won't be using for my Death Guard. I did half think about putting it on and then defacing it, but I think I'll just leave it off, to be honest. So that's it. I'm going to start the build, and I'll let you know how it goes. I'll let you know about the tracks, and in fact I'll probably do another little video next just to show you what it looks like and any sort of pitfalls or things I'm looking out for. One thing I should mention in the build is that in the instructions, these bits here, which are called, what are they called? Number 10. They're called road wheel housings ×2, and they are not differentiated in the instructions, but if you look on the back, one's stamped right and one's stamped left. So there is a right hand side and a left hand side one. I've also been given some advice by Mr. Leaky Cheese himself that the las cannons are actually, there is a slight difference between the left and the right, although the instructions do not alert you to there being a left one and a right one, and there's nothing stamped on the las cannons saying one is left and one is right, as with the road wheel housing sections. So we will see. Again, when you build the sponsons, basically the las cannons just fit in here and get glued in. So you can build the whole thing and see, you can swap them and see which one looks like it should fit in the left hand one and the right hand one. So I'll have a look once I've built the sponsons, because I'll probably, in fairness, I'll probably leave these off anyway and paint them and then glue them in just to keep them off. So yes, there we go. It's looking pretty good so far. Really pleased with the kit. I mean, very. I mean, I'm happy with the cast, with the quality. There's very little, if any, mold slippage. No air bubbles that I can discern at all, and it's looking like it's going to be a pretty sweet build. Coupled with the fact the mold release looks like it's come off really nicely. I mean, this bit here, for example, you need to watch out for like big flat pieces with Forge World resin, because that just you know, attracts the mold release. But this is like, I've washed it and dried it, and it's dry as a bone. It's really yeah, when there's mold release still on it, you can really feel a slick aspect to the piece. So, but yeah, that's really nice. That's going to take glue brilliantly. So that's it for this one. I'll catch you on part 3. Cheers, guys.